Please welcome Chris James and the music of the Burrito Brothers.
Yeah, yeah.
Welcome to the Better Each Day podcast radio show with Bruce Hilliard. Today and every day, reaching out for innovative ideas in every way. Today's show is brought to you by your future. It comes with a lifetime guarantee.
Ooh, make it better stay now, baby.
Their sound is remarkable and makes you think, hey, they have that sound. Their new album, Notorious Burrito Brothers, could possibly never reach the ears of those who need to hear sincere and wholesome Americana music. Songs that make you relax and say, yep. The music that morphed organically from the Laurel Canyon scene of the 60s groups such as the Byrds, the Beach Boys, Buffalo Springfield, and eventually Firefall and the Eagles. The sound that was christened the LA sound. Here's Chris James with the music of the Burrito Brothers. Put an intro in later on. I can edit the crap out of this, so everything we say sounds like the most brilliant thing anybody's ever said. Is my goal.
Good.
But the thing is, I've been watching. I usually watch talk shows, late night stuff. Jimmy Fallon's and Jimmy Kimmel and those guys. Mm-hmm. And Fallon's been doing this like at home thing. He's got like FaceTime, and his wife is kind of producing the show and stuff, but they're down at my level now. They're doing everything from like a Costco table and in their guest room or something, and they don't have the writers, so he's kind of writing his own jokes.
I haven't even seen any of that. I ought to catch that because it's probably, God, I hope it's a phenomenon that we won't see again. We haven't seen the likes of this before.
Yeah, and you wonder what the shakedown will be like, because it's sort of cool because there's not a lot of production, and he has guests and stuff, but it's all done like with really crappy video and audio. And he had John Legend on it. I'm not even a Fallon fan, but he's the only one that's really doing it that way. And he had John Legend on, and who's a great entertainer. And they just chatted like they do on a normal show and everything. And then Legend played a piano and sang a song and stuff.
Wow!
But
I thought
it kind
of
leveled the field.
A promo for Colbert doing something like that too, but maybe not. I haven't been watching.
Colbert did his first one, which was like last Monday-ish. I think he did one and it looked like he was in his bathtub with bubbles and stuff. So they're all doing this at-home looking thing, but yeah, it's kind of cool. The jokes sucked, and but in a way, and Fallon has his daughters on there, and they're like, he has to tell them to be quiet now. I'm doing the show, but he went ahead and just did it like, here's what it's like at my home, and it's messy. Like everybody's home.
Yeah. God, I sure hope this is going to pass before too long. I mean, people talk a couple weeks, and I can't imagine it could pass that quickly.
Oh, I know. I don't know what to think. It's so maybe people will buy more records.
Well, this guy who got the deal for us, not exactly agent or manager, but operates within those parameters for us. We welcome it. He got us the deal. A guy named Bob Boiling in England looks at the bright side and keeps saying, well, we got captive audience. People got to listen to the music and all. So maybe it's something we can still make work out all right and not feel like everything's derailed.
Something good always comes out of these times, I'm not a political guy, but I'm a poetical guy. Politics have gotten so, chaotic that there's reform that comes out of those things, and it really hasn't happened as obviously since the 60s, to me anyway.
Yeah, I don't think so, yeah.
I don't know how old you are, but I was kind of a little kid, maybe just turning into a teenager in the late 60s.
Yeah, that's about me too, yeah.
I'm 64.
Okay. So. Well, you got a song by the Beatles.
Yeah, they wrote that about me.
I was just told that I can't use it anymore because just yesterday was my 65th, which is really weird. It's like,
happy birthday to you.
They congratulate. They say, now you get your Social Security. It's a congratulations. And I'm thinking, well, I don't know if I feel like I'm that happy about it. I can't do anything about it, so thank you, and okay, I'll take some dough. But I'd rather be 35. Yeah.
It's so nice to have somebody to talk to. I go to the store and, to get some groceries or something. They have masks on and all that crap. And I'm like, oh, come on, man. I don't know how effective that's going to be, but I also don't want to be the guy that says, well, don't wear them, and then everybody gets sick and dies or something. So
it's certainly not something to draw too many conclusions. But I wouldn't pass judgment on somebody for doing it. It's scary.
So I just texted my cousin Scott in Yakima, and I said, yeah, remember the Flying Burrito Brothers? I'm going to talk to the guy that sings lead for you just go by the Burrito Brothers now, correct?
Yeah. Do you want that story?
Yeah.
I mean, that's as good a place to start as any, probably.
Well, that'll probably be the start and the end, because you guys, and I look at the Wikipedia, it's like trying to reverse engineer a DNA strand or something.
It's incredible. I don't know if there's ever been a group with any more personnel changes and revolving door of people in it. I think there might be some who come close. There are precedents, I've liked to say for the past, I've been pretty much heading it up since about 2009. And when some of the usually old people, naysayers, you're not the real Burrito Brothers kind of attitude hits us, they say, well, so who is? If you look at that list, like you mentioned on Wikipedia, there is no iconic main lineup. I mean, a case could certainly be made that the original or quasi-original group with Graham Parsons, Chris Hillman, Chris Etheridge, and Sneaky Pete was perhaps the iconic version, especially since Graham looms so large as a cult hero who died young. But he's only on that and the next album. And the next album, their second album, already has a pretty dramatic personnel change. They no longer have Etheridge, and they then have Michael Clark and Bertie Ledden. Two new people and one guy already out. There's no two albums they've ever made that any group going by the Burrito name has ever made where the next one in a row is the same people as the previous one. It's
Can I chime in here for a sec?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you've already referenced, let me see, the Byrds, the Eagles, the tie-ins. Yeah. But the one thing that hasn't changed is the sound and the philosophy of the whole thing, though. So it doesn't matter who's in it, but it still kind of has the Burrito Brother thing going on.
Oh, I think so. I think that's essential. I think you don't do this to change it. Although I would make a case that there was a period, although it was an oddball time in all of music, I tend to think, sometime in the mid to late 80s, where they were really kind of consciously trying to make it some sort of country hit effort, a pop-ish sound. And boy, the real long-term diehard burrito fans tend to see that as sort of the glitch in the road. It's like, otherwise what you say is true, that it's really stayed very honest to the original template of what that group ought to sound like. There was a review I saw one time that said the guy liked the album, but he thought it had too much pedal steel guitar on it. And I thought, that's like saying a Miles Davis album has too much trumpet.
Trumpet on it, yeah. I get that trumpet out of there.
What? Pedal steel guitar is the template. It's the cornerstone instrument sound that Sneaky Pete established from day one. So,
yeah, now he when I look at the timeline, he's been in it as long as anyone, I think.
Well, he was the longest, and he's some of the I don't know, I've heard them called haters or the sort of naysayers. Some of them say, that if he's not in it, then it's not the real Burrito Brothers. But that's pretty iffy, because if you look down the timeline, he came and went a lot. And then just having the pedal steel player and not a single other guy from the earliest days, that's not exactly staying rock solid on the original lineup. But the thing also that gives us I really, really stood by the thought that Graham Parsons himself was quoted back in 1973, the year he died, that what did he think? He was asked by an interviewer what he thought of there being the Flying Burrito Brothers still going on without a single one of the guys who were on the first album. And he said, I'm all for it. I think the idea has to go on, whether I'm in it or anybody else. It's got to continue. And that's just gold to us, to we who, want to carry that on.
So do you sing most of the lead vocals now?
At this stage, yeah. I hadn't. There'd always been at least one other guy, and I always try to make sure, even now that I pretty much spearheaded this latest album. Well, I shouldn't put it that way. I'm the singer, but it's very collective. It's absolutely Tony Paoletta, Bob Hatter, Peter Young, and me. And everybody putting in a large portion of the creative input and all writing together. But they defer to me as the lead singer, and we got Ronnie Gilbo to sing one song so that it's broken up a little, and I'm going to always be conscious of that. Prior to Walter Egan choosing to return to his solo career, he and I traded off vocals. My brother was in the band for a while, Fred James, who's got the reputation himself, and he sang some lead, though he tended to defer to me. He'd always kind of go, Chris, it's your band, But right now I'm the principal lead singer, at least on this album.
It's hard to discern based on the bio that I have who does what, who sings on what and everything. And there's, and questions I would ask that maybe nobody else. There's kind of a sitar sound on Love is a River.
Yeah, that's definitely that funny, the electric sitar. They came out with those in the, mid to late 60s.
Yeah.
Didn't the Box Tops have a song with that? And
Cry Like a Baby.
Oh, even that Steely Dan tune, Back Jack, Do It Again.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's fun.
So that's what it is.
Yeah, it's an electric guitar sitar.
Oh, I want one. This sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, it is cool. Yeah.
Love is a river. its waters will carry and help you to feel that you're never alone. The power is real. Love is a river, it'll burn, it'll rise. Love is a river, it's nature's surprise. Let it wash over you, let it wash over me. Love is a river, and it will always be. When you wonder where you're bound, look before you leap. Careful who you run around, the company you keep. Seeking, yeah, you may find. Ask, you might receive. Good things come to open mind. It's not hard to believe. What about the farmer losing his land? His land. What about the righteous suffering man? Life don't usually go the way you plan. You plan. You know it, I know it, yeah, yeah. You know, I know, yeah. We're told love is built on trust. Good men face the test. We've seen dreams turn to dust. The wicked take no rest. What I really want to say as we watch our idols rust. When it's down to the end of the day, what about us? What about us? What about the homeless needing a hand? A hand? What about the chastised holy man? Life don't seem to go the way we plan. We plan. You know it, I know it, yeah, yeah. You know, I know, yeah. Blind river, there for me. Blind river, you're what I need. Oh, dear Savior, let it bleed. river will guide him to a place he can love her. Water is the stream of life. It flows on forever. Love is a river. It'll bend, it'll rise. Love is a river. It's nature's surprise. Let it wash over you. Let it wash over me. Love is a river. Love is a river. Oh, love is a river. It will always be. Yeah,
Oh, I was going to say when I was telling you, I'm sorry to interrupt you about that.
Sure. That's why I have you.
About when I gave that paraphrase of Graham's quote, also the, might almost call it justification, the original Burrito Brother, the very first ones with Graham Parsons and Chris Hillman, took the name from Ian Dunlop and Barry Tashin, who played local LA gigs, just pickup band kind of things, and for just a lark, for silliest name they could think of, called it the Flying Burrito Brothers. And Parsons used to sit in with them, and it's kind of odd that they then chose to steal that name, to take that name when Hillman and Parsons left the Byrds and started their new group. They called it the Flying Burrito Brothers, which is I liken it to those days, Chocolate Watch Band, Jefferson Airplane, Iron Butterfly. It's just a weird sort of wordy name, for that era.
Was it Graham Parsons that came up with International Submarine Band?
Actually, that also, both names, Flying Burrito Brothers and International Submarine Band, are attributed to Ian Dunlop.
Oh, okay.
His friend from England. Yeah.
You think of meetings where the bands are trying to come up with a name, and they come up with, Captain Pisgums or Quivering Thigh, Vomit Launch.
There's another a real connection to why we named our album, this new album, the Notorious Burrito Brothers, is because there's a classic Byrds album called the Notorious Burrito Brothers, the fifth Byrds album. It's the one before Graham joined. Sweetheart of the Rodeo is the sixth Byrd album. Uh-huh. And Graham was at a couple of the sessions. They were already acquainted, and he had played with this bar band Flying Burrito Brothers. This is a year before the album by that name came out. And so they were joking around and talking about funny names for the album. And you can kind of, tell the similarity. Notorious Burrito Brothers, Flying Burrito Brothers. What happened was they were tossing around that Flying BBs for the album name, and it just kind of morphed into the Notorious Burrito Brothers. And since that is so connected to the genesis of everything we feel we're carrying on, we thought it'd be neat to actually have an album called the Notorious Burrito Brothers. But it has a double meaning because, as we've already cited, there's some of these sort of naysayers or something that you're not the real Burrito Brothers. And it's like, well, yeah, we are. We own the trademark rights, and we got there organically, naturally, one person at a time, the same way every change in the group ever happened. So get over it, and, you don't have to listen. But so that makes us, quote, notorious, unquote. So I think there's a lot of kind of clever thought to the album title.
Yeah, and you guys are having fun with it. That's very important. Yeah. Everybody understands fun. Who wrote Wheels of Fire? It's full of quotes and references and stuff, and I thought it was pretty cool.
Thanks for noticing that. Yeah, that's a band, right? But I'm the main influence. I'm the main lyricist, and that was, for the most part, my idea to just do that, because we were seeing, I still do. We do see this album as a suite. It's a full piece of work with a beginning and an end, and the opening is Bring It. It's like, hello, come on in, everybody, to come join us. And then there's a big suite in the middle, and who does that anymore? You know, and then the finale references just all kinds of stuff. It references every song title that was in the album prior to that last song, and then there's all the classic rock references and stuff.
Homie dope, you know me. Long, long days gone by. We were low and lonely. Now we get to fly. Soldiers were arriving fast. Hateful flags unfurled. We couldn't give a rat's ass. They take things from our world. I can hear her sing to me, Lady Liberty. No, we're seeking peace here, right down to ourselves. Hope we shall be released, dear, at the wishing wells. The lean and hungry card face, people seeking highs. There's a hole in the hard case, egos cloud the eyes. Still I hear her cry for me, Mother Mary be. Wheels of fire, la 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 la, burning through our lives. Wheels of madness, la la, turning on our minds. Wheels on fire, come on, walk the golden Shire. Feel the influence calling. Fly on wings of fire. Oh, she knows me lonely. Oh, she knows me glad. We sing of peace and loving. We sing of all we had. From the halls of Montezuma to the walls of hateful men. Break on through, new mama. Let the world be friends. I'll always hear her sing the saving grace. Someday we'll be free. This wheel's on fire, rolling down the road. Kinfolk notified, yeah, off any take a load. Wheels on fire. No, we couldn't get much higher. The devil's far below, in brimstone and hellfire. A dream within my spirit, memories of the heart. A siren in the distance, Her soul's a work of art. Have you seen the apparition? Mac down the street at the dark end. No safety nor surprise, she's back. Sometimes you just can't win.
It's just music to me.
White, therein lives the liar. My street's on fire. Come on, rock like the Rolling Stones. It's a honky-tonk citadel. Go, let's go, let's go. Wheels in flames, taking names. Baby James, I've seen the rain.
To be something you don't hear every day. It's meant not to just be the same old one-dimensional, slapped-out, music. It's certainly not what you hear on today's country radio.
Yeah, it has cohesiveness, I think is the word I'm looking for. A lot of people...
Well, I like that. Thank you.
Yeah, anymore it's just single after single, and why even call it an album,
Well, I think in most cases, and it's not always wrong, but in most cases, people record songs, and once they've got enough, if they think 10 or 12 is the right number, then it's now an album. But this didn't transpire that way. This was really thought out as a piece of work. It has a whole flow and intention to it.
It's definitely something you'd be proud of, too. I don't even know if that happens so much anymore.
Well, thank you. That's a funny word to use because it seems a little bit self-absorbed or something, but I certainly do feel that. I believe it's the best work I've done in my life.
And, well, you should, as we just sit around in isolation now because we can't go outside anymore. Here's what a lot of people don't understand is... I'm a musician, so I know this, nothing of your caliber, but musicians spend a lot of time in isolation when you're writing, even when you're rehearsing with your buddies and stuff. There's a lot of, you just don't go out and do a lot of things. So I think they think you're always in front of an audience, or they think because you're on the radio, you must be in front of billions of people all the time. It's quite the opposite, I think.
Yeah, actually, I think at this stage, our priority, I would say, our favorite thing is the idea of making recordings that are artistic, making little works of art. It's believing that aesthetic is not forever gone. Yeah. It seems like the era of that being at the forefront is long gone, but it shouldn't be gone forever.
Mm-hmm. It's the secret sauce of connecting with people. How do you do that? Yeah.
What's funny? We just did. We got asked to do the 50th anniversary of the Gilded Palace of Sin here in Nashville for the annual Graham Parsons, what does he call it, Graham Fest.
Oh.
It has a bunch of different artists. And he asked the Burrito Brothers to do the whole album. And there's an irony there because we had just completed this album. We're very, very proud of it and feel it should be what's representative of who we are now. And one of the knocks on the group that I object to strongly is if we're ever called a tribute band, because because tribute bands don't make new albums every few years and perform their own work. And of course, there's a side of us that's a tribute. We would be wrong to not play the best, most memorable songs from the earlier days of the other lineups of the groups. And I consider anytime we play anywhere, it's a tribute to Graham Parsons. But because
absolutely, a tribute band to me is like the Fab Four or something, where you're wearing Beatle wigs.
You're 100% copy. You play only the material that some other group of people came up with, and
everyone knows it.
So then here we are, feeling that we've proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that we aren't there with this new album, that we aren't that, and we get asked to do nothing but the album made 50 years ago by 4 different people. But you know what? It was an honor and it was sweet, and I think we did justice to it. I think it was really nice. It's on our website.
Oh, yeah. I guess that comes with the territory. You know, they came up with the term "L.A. sound." They pinned it on the Eagles, none of which are from L.A. But you guys, you still, I don't know, you enunciate the words kind of that way, and they're understandable. They're sincere.
It owes more to a California late 60s ethic or even 70s than Nashville. But see, we're not from Nashville. The band is. We live here and have for a long time. But, boy, you'd be surprised, or probably not. You probably wouldn't be surprised that just vast amount of musicians who live and work out of Nashville are transplants. Like, I come from Kansas. Tony's from Cleveland, Ohio. I'm from Wichita. Bob Hatter's from Chicago. And Pete's from upstate New York. And here we are in Nashville, you know. And if we're gonna quote, have the nerve to call ourselves the Burrito Brothers, then we need to know what that's all about. We're not supposed to sound like a bunch of Southern rednecks. You know?
And if there was ever a collaboration band, the Burrito Brothers, but you guys are from all over the place.
You know, that just reminded me. I think I kind of sidestepped. You alluded to the flying, and here's the story there. When I don't know if you followed the timeline enough to know that for most of the previous decade, now in the third decade of this millennium that just started in a bad way, in fact. But,
the roaring 20s, baby.
Yeah. But the aughts, the burrito flag was being carried by the group that called itself Burrito Deluxe. And actually, that's the last time Sneaky Pete had a little bit of involvement, although he was fading fast. But somewhere around the turn of this millennium, they began, maybe even in like 1999 or something. And their sort of claim to legitimacy was that they got Sneaky Pete in on a number of the sessions. And really, we now feel you don't need a claim to legitimacy other than just carrying on. It's never been some group out of the clear blue deciding to call themselves the Burrito Brothers. Mm-hmm. It's always been that this guy left, this guy came in, and it all just kind of gradually kept changing. And there was always some interest, usually from some record label or promoter, that they wanted the band to keep going. So Burrito Deluxe wound down around 2008 or somewhere in there, and lo and behold, this guy Del Taylor in England was promoting a label he called SPV Yellow, which was a sort of Americana. He was trying to find classic era names. I think he had Amazing Rhythm Aces. I don't know for sure who the groups were, but
I remember that name.
Yeah, and he said, who's the Burritos now? And my brother Fred is a pretty well accomplished producer, mostly in the blues field. He's placed albums, and mostly years ago, in the latter part of the 1900s. He got a lot of older black blues guys from Nashville record deals over in Europe, and they'd tour over there. I even played keyboards for some of those, and so he was known by the label guy, but not exactly seen as the right guy for this because he was blues. But he was talking to to this Del Taylor guy who said, "I want the Burrito Brothers, whatever it takes." And he said, "Well, my brother Chris knows those guys pretty well." And I got frog in my throat.
That's okay.
But his first plan was, let's try and call the closest we can get to the, sort of quote original unquote guys, though there aren't really any if you really looked into it. But so Chris Hillman loomed large. He was the co-author, the co-kingpin of the original album. Obviously, Graham, long dead and gone. So that put Hillman at the top of the heap. And then Rick Roberts, who went on to Firefall and all that, he had come in when Parsons was out. He's on the third album, and he's not really a replacement for Parsons because Hillman took over the lead singing, and so Roberts is the new harmony singer, but they needed a guy to fill another, they needed the second voice and guitar. And so Roberts goes that far back. Sneaky Pete had died, so Al Perkins was the next in line, and then, of course, Bernie Ledden. And since Michael Clark also had died, the farthest they could go back to really get those names was Gene Parsons. And Fred, my brother, contacted every one of them, and to a man they said, yeah, I'll do it if Chris Hillman says he's up for it. And then Fred talks to Hillman, and he says, no, too big a headache, not interested. It's he said, you got to understand, it never really was a gold mine, and I'm not interested in the possibility of getting some sort of bad reviews or too glaring of comparison. And then bottom line really is, if I was going to go back, if I wanted to rekindle some past glory like that, there's no comparison. It would be the Byrds. It would be David Crosby, Roger McGuinn, and Chris Hillman.
Right.
And so this isn't even an option. And so thinking he's blown out of the water because Hillman says no, and all the other guys did stick with, they're not doing it if Hillman doesn't. Del Taylor surprisingly says to Fred, look, it's been different people all through the years, so let's go to plan B. Who could it be? And so he told him that his brother Chris, me, was pretty familiar with all those guys, kind of hung in those camps, so to speak. And he said, okay, well, here's the deal. It's kind of almost a shopping list. It's like, I want to know who he proposes, and okay that. I want to recognize the names you're saying are up for it. I need you to secure trademark rights, and if that doesn't happen, the deal is off. And then, like any record deal, I need to like the album. Once you've submitted it, I can still say no if I don't think it's that good. And so, this looked like a really nice opportunity for me.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to put it down. At my age, what would I have been back then in my early 50s. That's already past that window of being the next big country star or something, you know? I mean, it's like, hey, I adore this music. I love the idea of carrying it on and showing how it can be done right. And, you know, if anybody says we shouldn't be doing it, they've never walked in my shoes. You know, I believe we're doing a really fine job of it.
Yeah, it's so funny the way you listed off all the elements that it's going to take to put it together. The last thing is, oh, and by the way, how's the music? Well, wait a minute here. Was it supposed to start out with that? It doesn't seem to work that way. I realize you have to cover all those bases, but what if the music was so freaking good that the rest of it is, you know, comes in second place? Probably,
well, I suppose the really logical answer to that, if that really was it, would be if he was that blown away that he'd say, well, I guess we need to think up a name for your group. You know, but he wanted the Burrito Brothers. Oh, and then the final chapter, the rest of this story, is that Chris Hillman had obtained trademark rights to the Flying Burrito Brothers, and they're very specific. We got ours as the working band. We could show that this is a group that's out there playing and is up and running and intends to play. Intention is a big part. And Hillman was in no way prepared to say that. He was, you know, as he turned down the group. He's not filing for trademark rights to an existing working group. He filed for a name logo so that when he wants to release archival materials that he's on from nearly 50 years ago or print T-shirts or something, he's got trademark rights to Flying. In fact, it's BROS, the Flying Burrito Bros. And if you saw it, it would probably look familiar. It's that sort of bubbly lettering. And it's a logo, right? And so we aren't in conflict. We own the Burrito Brothers because his request was that we don't use the word flying. He said he's over it. He's aware that somebody's been doing this for years and years and years, and apparently there's always going to be. So just please don't call it the Flying Burrito Brothers. And so we're just the Burrito Brothers. But it's really pretty cool. When the Flying Burrito Brothers moved to Nashville in the late 70s, right around 1980, they got a deal on Curb Records, and they just shortened the name to the Burrito Brothers. They felt, kind of like I alluded to earlier with the funny psychedelic name, that the other name was sort of cumbersome, and Burrito Brothers sounded kind of tighter and straight. Plus, I personally love it, starting with B and being the BBs.
Yeah.
So we've often said, with just a hint of, I wouldn't say in any way dishonest, just not needing to tell the whole story, that, you know, when the Flying Burrito Brothers moved to Nashville, they dropped the flying part of it, and then we're the Burrito Brothers, and we're in Nashville, so we're carrying it on. And that kind of sounds good. Sounds a little easier than the whole long explanation.
Maybe there needs to be a Flying Doobie Brothers.
Well, did you ever hear the thing about the Byrds being? Now, it's famous that when they first started, they were all the folkies who, after seeing Hard Day's Night or just being affected by the
12-string guitar and that.
Decided to kind of cop that, the Beatles vibe. And the previous iconic groups to them of the day were obviously the Beatles and then the Beach Boys. And so they had actually consciously thought, we'd like a name that begins with B.
Oh.
And knowing that, I like that our name doesn't begin with F. It begins with B.
It makes sense. My mom named me a B name too. Bruce is a good name to go with, I think.
Oh, that's fun. Well, the guy in England who's doing so much for us, his name is Bob Boiling. B.
Could have that alliteration, though.
Yeah,
I'll change my name to Bruce Billiard. Maybe that'll work.
Yeah. That's good. I like that.
Well, I could talk to you all day, you know what, Chris? So I'll edit the... there aren't any dull moments, though. This might be a 2-episode thing, but what the heck?
Oh, cool. Let me think if there... I just kind of rambled. Did you have any other, like, specific question, or is there something I ought to make a point of?
Oh, man, you covered it all.
It feels like, yeah.
On behalf of, I'm going to I'll edit this part out. I'm going to release an EP here pretty soon, and I don't know what I'm doing. You know, everything's changed. It used to be record labeled, handle all that stuff, and now it's all, you have to know all about social media, and you have to know all about the streaming platforms, and, you know, you do everything yourself. And at the end of the day, I'm like, God, all I want to do is play a song for you. You know, Jesus Christ, what do I have to do, you know?
Oh, I just thought of something I really would like to mention.
Sure.
Because I keep seeing evidence of it going right over people's heads. We've got a song on this album. It's called acrostic.
Yeah.
Do you know what that word means?
Yeah, it means it's a form of poetry where you're writing a word vertically, I believe, with the first letter of each line.
Nobody else. Very few people seem to know that, and I won't act like I'm the smartest guy in the world. I didn't.
I had Mrs. Gabareski for English when I was a sophomore in high school, so I know everything.
I wasn't all that aware of it, but I looked it up because it's like, I'm not sure I know what that means. I got to look at it. And when I did, I thought, oh, what a way to write a song. Wouldn't it be cool?
It's cool.
There's a hidden meaning inside a song. And so we've got acrostic on the album. And it worked out beautifully. It's some people, even still not knowing the little hidden message, said they thought it was their favorite song because it's kind of it's a departure.
My mother told me, son, another train's gonna come. Keep eyes wide open, educate, have fun. Use good sense if you have to fight. Stay strong, yet loosely tied. Feel your way through life. All good things transpire. Mama says it'll come your way. Our Father preaches, let us pray. Use these words, brother, may they serve you well today. Weather the storms, even the scourge. Never give in, don't dread. Ever the world can trip the head. Elevate thought, be kind. Lord, deliver the soul and the mind. Time is a healer, or is it a stealer?
style that a little bit reminded him of Chet Baker, which I thought was a compliment. Sort of like somebody Jack Kerouac would have
Kerouac
would have watched, you know, and he had a sort of hipster, kind of stoned, probably was stoned sounding delivery to singing. He was more known as a jazz trumpeter, but he did this kind of singing, man, and it's like it was pretty cool.
So, you know, they have those puzzles in the newspaper and stuff they've had to. Here's what we want you to do: write an acrostic song and orchestrate it, record it. There's a puzzle. See if you can do that.
Tell you what would be really hard, but not impossible. I'm churning the idea around. Is a palindrome.
A palindrome, exactly.
Oh my, yeah. Now that would be tricky.
A man, a plan, a canal, Panama.
Yeah, exactly. Or that Grateful Dead Meoxo Moxoa, which isn't even a word. It's just letters that look fun to, you know. I mean, it's like.
Oh, man. Okay. Well, great brainstorm session, too. It's good talking to you.
Likewise, yes. I enjoyed it very much. Yeah.
And, James, I wish you the best. You're a youngster like I am, but you know what? You're young at heart, and there's lots to be done. There's lots left to do.
So. I'll tell you another thing. My name is Chris James, which is a very common first name and last name.
Yeah.
So years ago, it hit me that if I go by my shortened, you know, my whole name is Christopher. If I just go by the shortened version, Chris, and use my middle initial for the name Philip, that makes me Crispy. And that way, a guy with a just terribly common first and last name can be a slightly more possible to be remembered name. But then the twist on it all happened when I became a part of the Burrito Brothers, because that makes me Crispy Burrito.
Nice. And then you hire somebody named Original Recipe, and you're good to go.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Bruce. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I enjoyed talking to you. Well, you take care and you know, wash your hands 50 million times.
Oh, yeah.
And wear a pillowcase and a body condom and all the things you have to do.
Oh, isn't that in a Woody Allen movie?
I don't know. Nothing I say is original. So.
All right. Well, best wishes to you and yours, and I do appreciate it, man.
Okay. Got to run. Thanks a lot, Chris.
Yep. All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Listening to the Better Each Day podcast radio show with Bruce Hilliard. We'll be back with a new horizon, but until then, honor the future. It comes with a lifetime guarantee.
And we're all just trying to make the next day a bit better.